Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I am Bryce Runge. Welcome.
Oh, I tell you what, I feel like this is the, how shall we say, the part of winter that really is not much fun. I mean, the weather's starting to turn, but you get those rainy days, the cloudy days, the dreary days, the ones that, doesn't have as much sun.
Yeah.
Is it me that feels that way, or is it something you feel too?
That's kind of been happening.
Okay.
It's like, the weather here, it's like bipolar.
Warm
no
today,
offense to anyone
cold
who
tonight.
has that mental illness. I'm just...
No.
Yes, but you're absolutely right. And it's like, it's hot one day, and then it's like today, it's kind of like gloomy.
Yeah.
It's like trying to rain, and it kind of really represents my attitude today.
Thank you. I'm having a hard time.
You're not alone, my friend.
Okay, good. Because, getting motivated, getting psyched up, you know how they say fake it till you make it?
Right.
I have been faking for weeks, and it's kind of like, ugh. I mean,
yeah.
ugh. So,
I hear you.
Well, the one nice thing about this kind of weather is it says, lay in bed and read. Or at least to me, that's what it says.
Like when? Like during the day? So take a PTO or what?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Or in the mornings or, I don't know. So I found I've been reading a little more. And, reading is always a good thing.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I ran across an article, and it got me thinking. And it got me thinking on a lot of different thoughts. And there's one thing that I've discovered, I enjoyed being a parent for Eric because the one thing that I have discovered to be a fairly universal truth is you sure as heck can't tell other people how to raise their children. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, there are people that will try and tell you, though.
Oh, I know. And I'm
like older ones that are in the family or, close to you.
Well, okay. For example, my sisters will flat out tell you that, at least my older sisters will tell you that when they were new parents and they were raising their little ones, and here I am going to college, getting my education degree, and I would tell them, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And they'd look at me and they go, this is coming from your vast amount of experience, right? And so, and I've noted, being a school teacher, you get a lot of that too, as far as, well, mom, dad, think you might want to do this, think you might want to do that. And so now that, got to be a parent, I'm a step parent, you get a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you were to rate yourself, would you say you're a good parent, an average parent, a superior parent?
I would say that I believe to be above average.
Okay.
For sure. I wouldn't say superior.
Okay.
I would not say superior this past season of our life. No, not at all. I just calling to stay afloat.
No, I hear you.
Not like physically assault our children.
Well, and yes. I'm with you. Well, so I read this article that I ran across and I was reading was titled 6 Good Tips to Raise Good Kids.
Okay.
And, it's really interesting. I think our children usually behave best for other people.
Yes, I would agree.
I would imagine that people have said, oh, Braddock's is such a respectful child. He's such a good kid. He always says please and thank you. Yes, ma'am. No, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All those kinds of things. And you're asking, okay, where is this kid when he's with me?
Right.
Would that be a fair assessment?
100%. Yeah, I hear that. And I see that with him. It's funny you say that, Suzanne and I joke about, with the girls, because we hear such positive comments at school. And at one end, we're like, that's awesome. Because that's how we're raising them to behave.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, well, what the hell happened? Like, did you forget? Like, when you got home, it's like total chaos. Like, seriously.
Oh,
They do a decent job, but I don't know. It's funny how that happens, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that boat.
oh, sure. And I think it is. I don't care what generation you are. I don't care what time period you're in that you're trying to raise kids. I think it is tough to be a parent. I think there is a ton of second guessing in what you do, and I think there's a lot of default responses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the old adage, the best revenge that is sent to you is to have a child just like you.
Yeah.
And, the hell on earth that you create for your parents will be revisited upon you by your children.
Yes.
Well, when you're 17, 18 years old, 12, 13 years old, you aren't thinking about when you become a parent. And
no, and when my mom would say, "Oh, just wait till you have children," be like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, whatever that's supposed to mean."
well, that is so far in the
I
future.
know what you mean now, Mom. I'm sorry. I take it back.
No, and that's the thing. And I guess at the end of the day, what we really want as parents is to help our kids grow up to be successful, independent, make good decisions.
Yeah.
Ones that they can live with the results of their actions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will say that being a school teacher for the past 20 years, I've seen a lot of kids, and you get to know a lot of kids, a lot of family dynamics, and you get to see the consequences of a lot of different parenting styles.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that I've been really blessed to have most of the kids that I have been able to teach and work with are really pretty good.
Yeah.
And I haven't had to deal with, a ton of wild and crazy stories, but I've had my share.
Right.
So this article I run across, all right, it was in Lifestyle magazine, and it was talking about this Harvard study that was done. And it was talking about the various tips or strategies that they recommend, as necessary.
Right.
All right. So, because I guess they were focusing on the core principles of parenting, and teaching kids kindness and empathy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. So the six strategies I thought maybe we could kind of talk about today.
Yeah, that's fine. Speaking of, this is a little bit off topic because I know that you mentioned your sister earlier, your oldest sister.
Oh yeah. Her name's Teresa.
Then she's not your oldest sister. Your second oldest,
Deanna.
and I connected on Facebook.
Really?
And I owe her a book, and I know she listens.
Yeah.
So this is a shout out to her, and I apologize for dropping the ball. I was supposed to mail that like 2 weeks ago. Maybe I should give it to you, and you can mail it.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, it's better to come from me. So as she listens to this show today, I do want to say apologize, and I will get that out ASAP. And thank you for connecting on Facebook and her kind words about our show.
Oh yeah, she listens to it. Her oldest daughter, who's getting married, and they have a child.
I mean, she was mainly talking about how good I am.
Well, yeah, of course, because you are. I mean, you carry the show.
So yeah. Anyways, on with the show.
Maybe you could throw in a T-shirt as a way of saying I'm sorry.
I might have some.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And it's going to be an autograph copy, right?
The book?
Yeah,
of course.
Okay,
of course.
Gotcha.
Special note.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, we'll dive into the 6 tips. The first one they suggest is spend time with your kids. Hang out with them.
Yeah.
This was something that my mom and dad did. For my dad, he would like to play games.
Yeah.
And those games usually included a rake or a shovel or a broom or the mower or the tiller or some kind of...
This kind of sounds like chores.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. yeah, because he'd go, well, let's go outside and play some games. And
Let's play dig a hole.
Being 12, 13, being Braddock's age, I hated it. Being a high school kid, I hated it. But at the same time, I learned some work ethic. I learned, hey, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. Because when I would try and be a slappy and do a piss poor job, you go, well, you screwed it up, do it again.
Right.
And do it again. And keep doing it until you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but it didn't take me too long to figure out that if you did it right the first time, you finished a lot quicker.
No kidding.
But my mom, she would play games with us. Hers usually included, going up to the vegetable garden and, weeding or digging potatoes, harvesting stuff out of that.
I'm sorry. This really sounds like child labor.
Well,
either that or was disciplined because you were a real
stinker.
Yeah,
no,
stinker.
I was a great kid. You can ask anybody. Ask me, I'll tell you.
Your sisters are like right now, like fuming. He's such a liar.
Well, we won't talk in-house, but at the same time, my folks did spend recreational time with us too.
Yeah.
I mean, they taught us how to work, but they also taught us how to play. And we would play, board games. We would play, card games. We would have dinner together. We would sit at the table every night and have dinner. But they would spend quality time engaging with us, talking to us. And that's kind of what they're saying. Spend time with your children and not just physically being in the same room and you on your phone and them on their device, but time where you're actually engaging with them.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really important. That's something that we definitely do as a family here. Growing up, we had. I try and think about all the times that we would do fun things, and it's not like we didn't. But one thing that does stick out, we would always sit and have dinner together.
Okay.
Of course, I was the last one because I wouldn't finish my food, and I was to stay there until I was done.
Sure.
But we always sat around the table, which I thought was special. And we did play some games and whatnot, but that's something that we definitely try and hone in here as a family is togetherness, being present with them, just doing different things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So, I think that's, it's a key part, and it helps build that bond, that relationship, right. Because I think it's fairly clear in all the research I've read that the stronger that child-parent bond, the mentally healthier that child will grow up to be.
Right.
The second thing they talked about is communicate with your child. Tell them what you want. This works for me even as an adult. If you want something from me, tell me specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Spell it out. Don't beat around the bush. Don't infer. Don't assume that I know what you're talking about. And this goes from everything to expectations to telling your kid, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Spell it out. They even went so far as to encourage, part of this was to check with your kid's teacher, or teachers, reach out. Because, until they're about 18, from about 3 or 4 to the age of 18, they're spending a great deal of time at school. So,
right, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, reaching out and talking to, the people that spend the most time with your kids, how are they doing when they're not with you?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's definitely important. Yeah, that's something that we're trying to work with Briar on. She'll be almost 4, and it's that communication piece. Like, don't try and be manipulative. Mm-hmm. Don't try and go around. What are you trying to say? Be clear, right? And we don't typically talk to them like another 4-year-old. We talk to them as the parent, as the adult. Right, as the leader of the home, and try and reinforce, that, and if you want something, these are the steps how to go about it.
Sure.
Right. And so, but yeah, you're right. I mean, kids are at school
Well, and that's
most of their young adult life.
no kidding. And that's the benefit of going to school is learning a lot of these social norms.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking to your child, it also kind of lets them know that you care.
Right.
Because if you take the time to not just visit with them, but to explain to them what you want, well, you know what they say, sharing is caring.
Yeah.
So you're sharing your expectations, which kind of helps let them know.
Right.
So, all right, do your kids fight? Fight with each other?
Of course not.
Oh.
They're angels.
You're right. Shame on me for suspecting.
How dare you
I know.
assume that these sweet little blonde-headed baby girls would ever do anything like that.
Okay. So it's all Braddock's then?
Braddock's is, God bless him. He's such a tender heart. He's got such a high EQ. He's a great, great kid. He is a little sensitive.
Okay.
But then you go to the girls, they are the opposite.
Really?
And Bristol, she is a force to be reckoned with. I am not joking you. She's like, I'm like, we're going to sign her up for MMA or something. She's like, no, don't mess with me. I will jack you up.
Okay.
Someone tried to kill me? Oh, that didn't work.
All right. Well, the reason why.
Anyways, people are like, what is he talking about? Anyways.
Well, the point that I think they're trying to get with this next suggestion or tip is it says show your child how to work it out. If there is a problem that they are experiencing, well, let's kind of take our time. Let's investigate a little deeper. Why isn't something working? Whether it is trying to solve a problem, find a puzzle. All right. For me, it was always having the patience to build models. I really stunk at that. But even if it's an issue with an individual, what are you trying to do? And let's kind of take the time to, rather than throw a temper tantrum, rather than, go all crazy, take the time and basically walk them through problem solving.
Right.
And how to, again, work it out. Their primary purpose is saying that this can actually help with their decision making.
Yeah.
If you can kind of anticipate what might happen if you do this or if you do that, say this, say that, well, then maybe they won't say or do those kinds of things. And so, anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting because I think my parents tried real hard to do this, but it didn't stick. Because I don't know that I struggle with this.
Yeah.
And so Sherry's always telling me all the time, hey, don't jump to conclusions.
Right.
And is there a better way to work through to get what you want rather than getting all angry and pissy and all that kind of stuff?
Right.
And so I thought that, that's actually pretty good because if you can get your kids to do that, maybe then that'll help them address problems and issues that we face when we're an adult.
Right. Yeah, don't be such a reactor.
Yeah.
Try and assess the situation. I'm a little bit better at that, faced with the situation.
Okay, what do you mean?
And it's instead of reacting and jumping to conclusions and then making a wrong decision.
Okay.
I think, and I don't think that just is a natural. I think that comes through the crucibles that I've experienced in life that have taught me to, number one, the sky is not falling. It's not the end of the world. And if it is, then I know where I'm going. And second of all, I've learned that, take a second step back, evaluate, assess the situation, try and approach it with a clear mind. And that's how, I'm able to make, I think, wiser decisions, if you will. I don't make the best of decisions all the time, but that's something that I try and model with the kids. Like if Bristol punches Briar, which it's happened, how does it impact not just you, her? How does it impact us? How does it impact everyone around here? There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of implications by your decision to hit someone, and so there's, I get that she's a baby, right? You have to talk to him in a way, but as we work up the ladder, and those conversations with Braddock's he could absorb that a little bit better.
Okay, sure.
Right. And so we're teaching him, don't be so reactive, because in that moment, when you fly off the handle, it's too late. You can't take it back.
Okay, true.
So if you don't react right away, you respond.
Okay.
With a different mindset, then the outcome is going to be better. It's kind of like the conversations about, people. Oh, I forget what it is. Anyways, you react or you respond.
Okay. Yeah, right? Sure.
And so learn to respond with, a positive mindset, with a wise decision.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, it kind of does. And I think that that's what they're trying to express here as a parenting tip. Trying to, keep that from, kind of explain, again, the consequences of actions.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I'm glad that...
it's easier said than done. It's something you got to work at.
Yes.
Right? You just don't flip the switch and be like, oh, yes. Like, I'm going to do woosah or whatever, and I'm going to come back, Anyways, but yeah, I think that's important. And then one of our core values is conflict resolution. And so if Suzanne and I get into a little bit of disagreement, most of the time, we don't need to go remove ourselves because the conversation hasn't gone that far.
Sure.
But if it's in the presence of others, we know that conflict resolution is one of our values, so we're going to resolve it, and then we're modeling how to resolve that.
Okay.
In front of the kids.
No, and that's good. I get you.
So
because again, modeling good behavior generates good behavior in their children.
Yeah.
So, which kind of ties into point number 4. I think it's number 4. Yeah. Anyway, it's talking basically about teach your kids to express gratitude. I remember being told, well, what do you say? Thank you. Did you say the magic word? Please. So teaching please and thank you, but then going one step further. And this was something that I think my parents did very well, is also modeling giving. Giving of time, treasure, and talent to help those in need. And I think that is something that my sisters and I have all done. That's awesome. Is kind of carry on that. Yeah. And I would say that my nieces and nephews, to a decent respect, have also learned that, receiving is good, but it's even more fun to give.
Right.
And so showing this kind of stuff. And that's one thing that I look back at my dad and, all the different things that he's done that I watched or witnessed, simple little things like hold the door. You're walking in or you're walking out, hold the door for the person.
Right.
And I saw him do that all the time to the point that I do it without even thinking about it. Right. And so, teaching your kids these kinds of habits, maybe, I don't know if that's the right word. But it allows them to display acts of kindness to others.
Right.
So.
Well, and obviously, the world we live in, so that's what we need more of.
But I think that, and it's kind of neat that you do so much of what you do. as far as, with the Hope Squad and the girls watching you, or Braddock's in particular, participating in a lot of the stuff that you did at school, to be able to promote and push that, I think has had a positive impact on Braddock's.
Right.
And his ability to recognize, well, this is what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we, my mom was more of that helping heart, for others, and not throwing stones, but my dad wasn't more of, didn't lean more towards that, and didn't lean towards that. So I would say I picked some of that up with, from my mom, but Suzanne was definitely raised that way. Being here from the South, yes, sir, no, ma'am, blah, blah, blah. And we are definitely trying to instill that with our kids. But then, the giving, the blessing others is something that we regularly try and model. And I mean, there's just no, and I've done that with Braddock's, and Braddock's has seen people on the street homeless and given his own money. Man, that feels so good. I'm like, dude, it is the best feeling when you could show up in someone's story and just be a blessing. If it was $20, dude, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. And try not to judge them or assume that they'll do something with it that you may not agree with.
Right.
Look,
yeah,
you gave it with the best intentions. If they're lying to you, if they're pretending to be something they're not, well, then that's on them.
Right. 100%.
And so,
yeah, because we had that conversation, and like, here's the deal. This is a position of our heart. We are a family who believes in generosity. And so it doesn't matter we can't control what they do.
No,
we can absolutely control with what's in our pocket and what's in our billfold, whatever, and what we do with it. So if they want to go do something that isn't healthy, we can't control it.
Well,
but we're going to believe in the best, and that's going to bless.
And that's kind of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Model it, teach it, and it will carry on.
Yeah.
Now, to tie in, and that we kind of hit on this already, but the fifth suggestion they have is help your children work through their negative emotions. And you were talking about that with Briar, or not Briar, but with Bristol and her, coming at you all gingham style here. But they were saying, how important it is to help your kids recognize the emotions, understand the emotions, and better ways to kind of work their way through them without being so angry.
Right.
Because, I mean, crying out loud, it is, I think, well, for me, it's not hard to go from 0 to 60 in the hostile, angry mode.
Yeah.
I will say that my parents did their level best. I am going to blame my German, Scottish, Irish heritage as why it didn't stick. Those who know me know that I can go from very calm and passive to I am ready to commit physical violent harm on you.
Right.
Usually when I'm driving, but it sometimes hasn't been that even. But
when you're driving, really?
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe.
Shocker.
But I think that it is important skill to teach. And I will say that is one of the things that I love that they help teach, especially at the lower levels of elementary school, is how to address that. And I think that we as parents, by demonstrating and modeling that behavior, can benefit our children. Because I know as an adult, when I can harness my anger or not allow it to gain control, and as my granddaddy would say, allow my alligator mouth to override my canary tail end, I do better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a powerful thing when they're then they're covering the SEL in school, the social emotional learning, and they're educating, equipping kids, at such a young age how to identify those things. I certainly didn't grow up with that.
No.
So, but it's important to have have that conversation. What is it that you're feeling? What are you going through right now? Let's identify those things. Because, when you don't, that starts to take you captive.
There you go. And
it should be the opposite, right? How do we teach our kids, how do we train even ourselves to take those negative thoughts captive?
Sure. And that's,
it's a lot of work. The mind is a very, very
complex machine.
It's a battlefield.
Oh, amen. And it's not just love that's a battlefield.
Right. But we are fully capable of winning. It's just being mindful, being aware, recognizing those emotions, and then moving to phase 2. What do I do? Right.
Sure.
So,
well, that brings us then to the last suggestion or tip. And they say, expose your kids to the bigger world.
Okay.
Take them on trips, show them other cultures, show them other regions, even geographically. Here in Texas, crying out loud, we can go 8 hours in any direction pretty much, and we can be in a different geographic region, different cultural region.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But they were saying, that it's it really helps broaden them. It shows the children, that there's a world outside their own.
Right.
And I will say that my mom and dad, did this very well. I think we talked about previously the benefits of travel.
Yeah, we did.
And so this is kind of feeding on that. Letting children know, letting them kind of see that they aren't the center of the universe.
Yeah.
But there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
And at least, they were basically saying it's by showing them different ways to live, different places, you're kind of exposing them to, back that up. You're trying to help reduce bias and prejudice towards or against certain groups, certain regions, certain areas.
Right.
And so, anyway, I love that.
Yeah, there's a whole big world out there. And the more that you can explore and, get a taste of different perspectives, that's huge.
Speaking of taste of different foods.
And that too. that too.
I mean,
but yeah, yeah. And you could learn so much from other cultures and different parts of the country. There's so much to learn. And, I'm grateful that I've been able to go explore quite a bit of this country. Even overseas just for a little bit. But, I'm hopeful that we could get our kids. We still haven't been on that trip since we did that last travel episode. No, we haven't been on a trip yet.
That's
if anyone knows a travel agent and has any specials,
okay. I do.
Oh, well, all this time?
Yeah.
It's like you've had 2 gloves on this whole entire time?
Well, let's just say I'll share with you about our impending trip to Hawaii.
What? Wow, you guys are going all over the place.
I tell you.
I'm freaking jealous.
Don't be a jealous, be a joiner. Because, again, take the trip. What a great way to help raise quality children.
Yeah.
Anyway, I take these tips for whatever they're worth. Again, it's a Harvard study. To me,
it's legit because it's Harvard? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying that it's not a Rod McCall special here. It is. There's some science behind it, but as we talk about it, it kind of reminds me of a lot of the things that my parents did for my sisters and I, and I think it paid dividends. And I've seen some of this in my nieces and nephews, and that their ability to show empathy, their ability to, because they're now all raising children of their own or close to raising children of their own.
Wow, yeah.
And so it's, yeah.
And then they keep pouring into the next generation, and that's a powerful thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to hear that for you guys.
Well, yeah.
We're not far behind.
No, you're not. No, you're not. So, anyway, well,
All right.
raise your kids any way you want. All right, you can raise your kids. You know, you've done a pretty decent job with Braddocks.
Well, thanks.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of that was Suzanne's influence, but you've done a pretty good job, and you know the girls are coming along.
Yeah.
So try these out, see if any of these work. If they don't, well, then we can tell Harvard to try harder next time.
Right, yeah. Try harder next time, buddy. All right. Well, that was good. Good tips.
Well, it's time for me to go sit under a sun lamp, so maybe chase away some of these gray day doldrums.
Okay. That sounds like a plan to me.
So, well, until next time,
I'm Bryce.
and I'm Rod. See ya.
Bye.